Brad's story will make you reflect on the importance of respect and gratitude towards those who have helped you, and how actions always carry more weight than words. Caught between two important women in his life, what will Brad do? Let us know where you're watching from. Now, relax and enjoy this amazing story. The iron gates of the Jackson estate stood tall, a symbol of power and legacy that had endured for generations. As the sleek black car rolled up the long gravel driveway, Brad Jackson leaned back in his seat, exhaling slowly. It had been years since he had last set foot here, years spent building his empire, making a name for himself far beyond the boundaries of his family's vast estate. Beside him, Sophie sat poised. She had been thrilled by the idea of marrying into one of the wealthiest families in the country. But the moment the estate came into view, her lips pursed slightly. As the car came to a slow halt before the grand entrance, the estate staff had already assembled in perfect formation, waiting to receive their returning master. He recognized a few familiar faces among them, but his eyes searched for one person in particular. Finally, he spotted her. Standing just a few steps behind the other staff, slightly apart from them, was Hope. The years had touched her, but she remained as he remembered. Her dark skin was lined with the passage of time, but her presence was unchanged. She stood with the quiet grace that had always defined her, dressed in her simple yet impeccable uniform. Her hands were clasped before her, but there was warmth in her eyes. He took a step forward. "Hope, my boy, you're home." Without hesitation, Brad closed the distance between them and wrapped his arms around her. She smelled of lavender and familiarity. She patted his back lightly, the same way she had when he was a boy, seeking comfort after a scraped knee or a bad dream. Brad turned back to Sophie, his hand lightly resting on the small of her back. "Hope, this is my wife, Sophie." Hope nodded politely. "Welcome, ma'am." Sophie hesitated for the briefest of moments before offering a small, practiced smile. "Thank you. It's lovely to meet you." The dining room was set beautifully, as it always was for family meals. The long mahogany table gleamed under the candlelight. The silverware was meticulously arranged, the plates adorned with dishes that had been prepared to perfection. The family had already begun to take their seats by the time Brad and Sophie arrived. Jade sat at her usual place at the head of the table, her eyes flickering with quiet scrutiny as she observed Sophie. George lounged a few seats down, his smirk ever present, as though he found the entire evening amusing in some private way. Brad pulled out Sophie's chair for her before taking his own seat. Hope, as she had done for years, ensured that everything was in place, before finally settling into the chair that had always been hers. Sophie noticed for a moment. She said nothing, her expression carefully neutral as she picked up her glass of wine, but when she spoke, her voice was light, almost playful. "I wasn't expecting the staff to dine with the family." The table fell into a brief, heavy silence. Brad's hand tightened slightly around his fork. Hope, however, did not react outwardly. "I've been with the Jackson family for a long time, ma'am. This has always been the way of things." "Interesting. I suppose every family has its own customs." Brad exhaled slowly, setting down his glass. "Hope is more than just staff, Sophie. She practically raised me." "Of course. That's why it's different. I'm just not used to it." Hope inclined her head slightly, as if accepting the explanation, though Brad could tell she understood the undertone, as well as he did. The conversation shifted after that, moving toward safer topics. Then it happened. A slight flick of the wrist, and a glass of red wine toppled over. The deep crimson liquid spilled across the pristine tablecloth. And the stream of wine didn't just stain the fabric, it splashed directly onto Hope's uniform. "Oh dear," Sophie said, her voice light with mock concern. "How clumsy of me." Brad stared at the scene before him, something cold settling in his chest. George's smirk faded slightly, his gaze flickering toward his brother, waiting to see what he would do. Hope dabbed at the stain with a napkin, her movement slow and methodical. "It's all right, ma'am. Accidents happen." Sophie tilted her head slightly, watching Hope with that same unreadable expression. "Yes, they do." He should have said something. He should have told Sophie to be careful, to apologize properly, to acknowledge that this was more than just an accident. But the words didn't come. Jade glanced. "You really should be careful with your wine, Sophie." Sophie only smiled, lifting her glass once more. "I'll try to be more mindful next time." When he entered the bedroom, Sophie was sitting at her vanity, removing her earrings with careful precision. She met his gaze through the mirror, her lips curving slightly. "Ah, I was wondering when you'd finally come to your senses." "Pack your things." Sophie blinked, her expression flickering with brief surprise before settling into something colder. "Excuse me?" "I said pack your things," Brad repeated. Final. "You're leaving." "You're serious?" "Yes." Sophie turned fully now, slowly rising to her feet. "And where exactly do you expect me to go?" "I don't care, but you will not stay under this roof." "All of this over a maid?" Brad's jaw clenched. "Over Hope. Over you. Over everything you've done, everything I allowed you to do." Sophie's expression darkened. "You'll regret this." "Number, for the first time, I won't." He turned away, leaving her standing there, her breath sharp, her fury palpable. As he walked out of the room, out of the house, into the cold night air, Brad felt something lift from his shoulders. The morning light cast a soft golden glow over the Jackson estate, but the house itself felt different. Sophie was gone, and the news had traveled quickly, though no one openly spoke of it. The staff, who had once moved cautiously in her presence, now walked with a quiet sense of relief. Jade, though she said little, had given Brad a long, approving nod that morning over breakfast. George had smirked, raising his coffee cup in a silent toast, before muttering something about finally growing a spine. But Brad wasn't concerned with any of that. Hope had left the night before, her silhouette disappearing into the darkened landscape. He had let her go then, knowing that she needed space, knowing that she had been hurt too deeply to simply be convinced with words. But now he was going to bring her home. When he reached the small cottage on the outskirts of the town, his heart clenched. It was modest, tucked away behind an overgrown garden, but it was well kept. Hope had always been proud of her space, of her independence. He hesitated for only a moment before knocking. The door opened slowly. Hope stood there, dressed in a simple blouse and a long skirt, her silver-streaked hair tied back neatly. She looked at him with an unreadable expression, waiting. Brad exhaled. "May I come in?" Hope studied him for a long moment, before stepping aside. The inside of the cottage was warm, familiar. The scent of lavender lingered in the air, mixed with the faint aroma of freshly brewed tea. Brad glanced around, taking in the small details. The carefully folded blankets, the framed photos of the estate, of him as a boy. His throat tightened. Hope moved toward the kitchen, pouring tea into 2 cups before setting them on the wooden table. She took a seat and gestured for him to do the same. He sat, his hands clasped together. The silence stretched, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was waiting. "I'll let you down. For weeks, I let you be treated like you were nothing, and I did nothing to stop it. I saw it happening. I knew it was wrong, and I still didn't speak up." Hope's eyes didn't waver. "I let her make you feel like you didn't belong in that house. But you do. You always have." and I hate that it took me this long to say it. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I don't expect you to come back just because I ask. But I need you to know that I'm not the same man I was 3 days ago, or a week ago, or a month ago, and I will spend however long it takes proving that to you. Hope watched him carefully, and for the first time, he saw something break in her. I should have left a long time ago, but I didn't. Because despite everything, this is my home. Then come home! Relief flooded through Brad, but he didn't rush to celebrate. He simply nodded, lifting his cup, savoring the warmth, the familiarity, the quiet understanding that filled the room. When they left the cottage together later that morning, the road back to the estate didn't seem quite as long. The house was waiting, and this time, it would feel whole again. Silence can cause deeper harm than words. And an apology means nothing if it's not backed by real actions. Brad took the right steps, bringing back the warmth of family with Hope and his loved ones. Have you ever hurt someone with your silence? Please share your stories in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, give it a like and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to hear more inspiring stories. Goodbye, and see you soon.